Lake Monster, Chapter 21, Swimming with Worms. It was 3 o'clock on the dot when Pearl and Ben stepped through the wrought iron gate, certificates of merit in hand. They'd hung their lab coats in the closet, and they'd punched out at the time clock as instructed. Mr. Tabby locked the gate behind them, then said through the bars, "Dr. Wu expects you on Wednesday at precisely 8 a.m. "I'll be here," Pearl told him. "Me too," Ben said. "I can't say I'm pleased with your decision to return." Mr. Tabby's lip curled in a slight sneer. "You have proven yourselves to be overly curious and rather bothersome. But perhaps next time you will try to be obedient human children." "We won't break any rules," Ben said. "You can count on us." Pearl smiled. "Yeah, you can count on us." "I certainly hope so." With a twitch of his mustache, he turned and hurried back to the hospital, just as Ben's grandfather pulled up in his car. "Would you like a ride to the dollar store?" Grandpa Abe asked Pearl. "No, thanks," she said. She didn't want to be stuck in the back seat of Ben's grandfather's car, not with so much excited energy flowing through her. What an adventure she'd had. She wanted to run. "Be sure to call me and tell me if those leprechaun shoes do something special," Ben whispered to her. "Okay," she whispered back. "You'll be the first to know." "See you later," he called as he slipped into the car. Then he waved as his grandfather drove off. Pearl ran across the road, careful not to step in anything yucky. She didn't want to stain the beautiful pink leather of her new shoes. They made her feet feel light. In fact, they made her whole body feel light. Right then and there, it didn't matter to Pearl whether the shoes were magical, because the day had been more exciting than she could have ever dreamed. She picked up the pace, then broke into a run. A lake monster and a leprechaun were now added to the list of imaginary creatures she'd met. Who would ever believe such a thing? But many questions remained. Why was Dr. Wu always covered in fairy dust? What had happened to the last apprentice? Who was the dangerous someone who wanted to get inside the hospital? And the biggest question still to be answered, where was the imaginary world? Yoo-hoo! Pearl had just reached the edge of the town park when Mrs. Mulberry's shrill voice filled the air. She stopped in her tracks to find the president of the welcome wagon and her daughter, Victoria, standing in the middle of a concrete duck pond. "What are you doing?" Pearl asked. Victoria, now dressed in a polka-dot bathing suit, pulled a pair of swim goggles over her glasses. "We're looking for worms." "That's right," Mrs. Mulberry said. Her bathing suit was striped and looked like long underwear. "I have it on the best authority that worms like to go swimming on summer days. As soon as we find one, we can make an appointment with Dr. Wu." She shooed away a duck. "Go ahead, Victoria. Stick your head in the water and take a look." Victoria frowned. "I don't want to stick my head in the water." "Victoria, sweetie, do what I tell you to do." "But there's duck poop." Mrs. Mulberry put her hands on her hips and glared at her daughter. "I'm not going to let that Dr. Wu keep me locked out of her hospital. I must know her secrets, so stick your head in the water and find me a worm." With a moan and then a deep breath, Victoria took the plunge. Pearl giggled. Dr. Wu's secrets were safe and sound inside the old button factory, and they'd stay that way. She'd make certain of it. So off she ran, her new leprechaun shoes carrying her down the sidewalk and back to the dollar store. And she didn't get into one bit of trouble along the way. The end.